Let's close as we always do. Head around the Inside Politics table, ask our great reporters to share a little nugget from their notebooks, get you out ahead of the big political news just around the corner. Abby?
Well, right now, the White House is desperately seeking some backup from the outside to deal with this deluge of Russia-related stories. One of the things that they're trying to do is beef up the RNC. They need research help, they need rapid response help, and they need essentially the Republican National Committee to kind of restaff after so many of its staffers came into the White House after the transition to basically help staff Donald Trump's administration. So, you know, I'm told that they're coordinating with the RNC right now, trying to get that situation rectified so that as they go forward, in addition to some of the war room efforts that they're considering creating within the structure of the White House, they really desperately need some outside group help. They have a couple of super PACs out there that are a little bit outside of their circle of control. The RNC is something that they have a little bit more say over, and they're working with them, trying really hard to get a little bit of help as they head into a really tough string of news in the next couple of weeks.
Some grumbling in the party already. The RNC should be focused on 2018 elections, not the White House. We'll see how that plays out. Jeff, welcome home.
Thank you. As we've been talking about, the cascade of stories about Jared Kushner have drawn this Russia investigation within steps of the Oval Office, really for the first time. But overnight, we're learning one of the reasons he came home early from this trip is because he knew that Washington Post story was coming. He did not want to be at the president's side when this happened. So the reality here is this is all settling into the West Wing that, yes, he's not specifically the subject or target of the investigation, but he is front and center in the middle of it now. And this sort of creates an opening, a power center shift once again for Steve Bannon to have much more power. And the aides privately will say that to Jared Kushner, he's going to remain, he's going to keep his head down as he does. But this raises more questions about him, and they don't know how to answer them. The best defense explanation so far, if he was back channeling with the Russians, he wasn't colluding with them during the campaign. But that is probably not, the best answer they would like to give.
We'll get a better answer as we go on. Michael?
Well, I think the perception has always been that Jared Kushner, because he's the son-in-law of Donald Trump, he's sort of untouchable or invincible. And I think that's generally almost entirely true, but not entirely true. There is, I've heard from senior White House sources that Trump himself has told Jared Kushner, look, people like you, young, wealthy, New York liberal Democrats, are not the reason that I'm in the White House. Now, despite that, he brought Jared Kushner into the White House because of his loyalty, because of his usefulness within the White House, because of the expertise he thought he might bring. Now, if Jared Kushner becomes unuseful to the president, I think you might see a shift. Now, the caveat to all of this is, as Jeff, you mentioned, Jared has a lot of enemies within the West Wing, chief among them Steve Bannon. So you do have to keep that in mind. You hear this talk about the potential for Jared to even leave or get a demoted role within the White House that could be coming from the enemies who are looking at an opportunity and taking it.
The Game of Thrones mentality inside the Trump White House. Karen?
Well, as all of these other chapters unfold in this drama of what's been going on between the Trump administration team and Russia, Congress has kind of been pushed off to the side a little bit as these different revelations have appeared. And in the coming days, we're going to have to see, basically, it's going to be very telling for how they start to reassert themselves. Because there were several investigations that were going on. There is one pocket of subpoenas out for Michael Flynn, but the two heads of the Senate Intelligence Committee just gave themselves, or were given by the senators, really unbridled authority to start to take much more direct moves. And we have some deadlines coming up on existing subpoenas in the next few days. We have the authority now for the two leaders just with a phone call to try to require and compel legally more information from other people. And you're starting to see that even though there was a sense of, oh, we have time, we're trying to do this right just a few weeks ago, that as everything else kicks into high gear, you're going to see some kicking into high gear happening on Capitol Hill, too. The question is, will it be effective? Or if they end up getting compliance from people, does it mean that they won't actually get what they want?
Well, we'll see how that one plays out. A little tension, probably. Special counsel in Congress. I'll close with this. Get ready for a presidential roadshow here at home with a focus that just might annoy Republican leaders in Congress. The White House is making plans for its version of Antique Roadshow, travel designed to promote the president's big infrastructure ideas by highlighting America's old and decaying roads and bridges. The plan is still tentative, but Cincinnati is penciled in as a stop next week, and additional stops are being discussed. Unhelpful was the one-word reaction of a top Republican congressional aide. Health care and tax reform are atop the congressional Republicans' priority list, and a constant complaint from GOP leaders on Capitol Hill is that the White House political strategy is, to them, scattershot and often counterproductive.